Hi, it's Nancy with Garden Scroll, and I'm today is January the 22nd, 2019, but in the post that we're putting on of the 2018 garden, we're going to be on the date May the 8th, and this is my first scene, so you'll be seeing that here just in a little bit. I also wanted to tell you that I'm doing a little bit, and I've been sorry. I've been doing a little bit better with my, well, feeling better anyway. I don't know if I'm doing much better, but I am doing better. This morning I actually got up and sang a little hymn, which is, I can't sing, but I always sing because singing always helps me through. But from the time I had my surgery till this morning, I could not sing. I would try, but it would just come out a moan, and then it would just continue on as a moan. And so I tried this morning, and it came out a whole chorus. And the one that I thought of was rejoice, for the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord. So I thought that was a wonderful little chorus for him to put in my heart, and I tried my best to sing it to him and for his glory, and I feel good that I did, and I hope I'm getting where I'm going forward, but I'm honestly having still a hard struggle day and night without just whining and fretting the whole time. But that's just the way it turned out to be. And I hope you enjoy the posts on today's garden. We are going to get into the dirty work, filling up the pots with soil and things like that. Hi, it's Nancy with A Scroll in the Garden, and today has been a busy day, and yet I've been doing things that you can't tell I did anything in the garden. But I have, my husband and I, when we stepped out the door this morning, this is the scene we saw, and the morning sun was shining on this, and well, just the colors were looking so good. But mostly what I did today was clean out the old dirt out of pots and the old stuff that was in there, and I did several putting new coconut liners in and just things like that. I wanted to give you a little glimpse though of the garden and what's blooming in it again. I don't know if you noticed this. My husband's taking the pictures there, but can you get a close-up of that? Isn't that pretty? I think that's called Bewilderbeast Iris. This is a pretty iris. I love how the orange just sets off that blue and white. And then as we come on around, here, I wanted to show you this one because this one is actually my favorite of all the irises. I just love the way that purple and white, to me they're the most eye-catching of all. There's one called Pagan Dance that does what do you call it, competition. It's in competition in my book as far as it being so pretty. Both of those are real favorites for me, but I think that one is my favorite, the purple and white. There's one back there, and I'm sure you got this peony, didn't you? Because it looks so good today too. These are some of the things I did, and I apologize for my attire, but I don't really, because this is the perfect garden attire. Once the heat comes on, this is just perfect for being out here in the heat. And the shoes, I'll show you my garden shoes too. Look at those. They're, I don't know how to say that either, okabashi, I guess. But see these little ridges right here? Can you get a close up of those ridges? They help hold your foot in there whenever you're walking in some muddy, slippery ground. You're going to keep your shoes on. That's important too, but this little pot gave me trouble. I was about ready to quit on it. I was already so tired. This is the last one I did today, and I had to dig it out. It was way down to here, and everything is looking dilapidated. I had to put some more coconut liner in it, fill it up with some more dirt, and then put the plants back in there, and it still looks ridiculous, but I think it will pick up, and I may put something else in there too. This little pot here, I did not do anything to it. Isn't that pretty? And that all came back from last year. There's a space in the back that I may put something else, or I may just let that go ahead and fill on around. It's really pretty just like that. The Sweet Williams are blooming. Lots of pretty colors of those, and of course the columbine. I got this yesterday some. This is a beautiful peony too. I love this bloom right here. It just looks like perfection or practically perfect. That I did several of these pots along here as we go. This little one didn't, I showed you the other day, and it was all laid out and dry, so I ended up just clipping it back to these little ones that were still looking good, and I think it'll take off again, but it's going to be hard to keep it wet enough in that little pot. This is another pot I changed the dirt out in. I changed it out in this little pot here, but like I say, you can't really tell I did anything till we get them filled up and they begin to bloom. But at least now they're ready. They're ready to begin to fill out. The dianthus. The dianthus are really looking pretty now too. You can't hardly beat a dianthus for a little bit later spring flower when it begins to really bloom. My false indigo up here, this white kind of look like buds even when it's in full bloom, but it's about to go. It's almost gone for the season, but it's always a pretty little thing for spring. I always enjoy seeing it. These pots along here I haven't done anything with yet at all. I didn't change the dirt or anything in these because I'm just not ready to yet. It's just too much. Here's another little dianthus if you want to get up a little close to it. It's some pretty, almost velvet looking color. So pretty. But in my little roses, I did go ahead and trim all that back. And you can tell that it's where it all died off, but they're still green there, and I'm hoping and praying that they're going to do fine. And then all along from here on back, I've got weeds, just weeds. I've got to get out here and find some time to get those. I noticed that this clematis over here, clematis, however you say that, isn't that pretty? I love the dark colors. I guess that they must be my favorites. They're the first ones I picked, but I do love the soft colors too, like back there where you see the pinks and purples and that pretty Shaker's Prayer iris there. I cleaned this little one out to fill her up, but that's all I got done was new dirt put in her. She's not ready to go yet, and I've got to take you around back because I noticed there was a beautiful peony in bloom. And I may have gotten this one yesterday, but it doesn't matter. It's so beautiful. It needs to be gotten again. It's just such a pretty little peony. And then this is really pretty, this iris with that sunlight shining on it. I hope you can, it will show up. Isn't that pretty? this white peony in the front I wanted you to see. And I wasn't even going to go to the front yet because I haven't even got it watered today. I've literally been so busy. And I'm so far behind on everything. I think they say April showers bring May flowers, and I think you're supposed to have your seeds planted in April so that the May flowers can come up, but mine still are not planted. I have very few, just a very few little plants planted. This is a pretty little white peony. Get down on that one, that's a real pretty color. That white and yellow looks really good. Hopefully we will go around front just to get that one peony. It's worth it. So these little bachelor buttons were growing on the other side of the fence, so my husband dug those up for me today. And you can see why I would want to. Look at that color. Just that color blue is so pretty. These can get to be a little invasive because they spread through seed, but so far they haven't even begun to be invasive, and I just love them. I cleaned this pot out today. It's ready to be planted. I've got some vining plants, some black-eyed Susans, some white black-eyed Susans, and there's several different vine seeds that I want to plant there on my trellises. I started to clean this one out, but you see stuff coming up there, and I think that is bat flower, which is, I think this one is a pink one, but there's a pretty pink and there's a pretty red and black, and they're both just a lovely little plant, and they come back fairly easily from seed. And I'll plant some vining stuff in all these that have either the tomato cages or the little obelisks up them. I did put one more little pot in here today. I added this little pot, and I took the rock off of that one and put it over here on this one because she wasn't very sturdy back there, so she looks like she's more sturdy there. And I think I will eventually, there's room for one more pot here, and I'll get something and put there too, I believe. I cleaned this pot all out and put new dirt in it. It had an invasive plant in it, so I tried to get all the root and everything out of it. See, I don't think I did anything this way other than we put this little stabilizer up on my 3-tiered pot because it just kept leaning. I got it stable good with the longer earth staples, and so far it hasn't blown down, but it still wants to weave way over, so hopefully that will keep it up. I need to find an idea to make this pretty instead of just laying there like that. There should be something to put up it or grow around it to kind of cover it, make it part of it. These are some more of the Sweet Williams, and there's several colors here in a kind of in a row. There's some more over here, these colors too. So, which Sweet William is a common little flower, so I'm sure most of you have heard of it. But it is a pretty little flower, and it also has a fairly long bloom time for a perennial. There was one more peony I wanted to show you in front. Kind of soggy right there. And there's a pretty little clematis right there blooming too. What he's showing you now is the columbine, and it's really making a showing this year. I don't think I've ever had quite as much of it. And then it's just green the rest of the year once it stops blooming. But it also is one of the perennials that do have a fairly long blooming period. I tried to put some dianthus here and Did I even water that? No, it's dry. I need to water that. And that's another little pot that I changed the dirt out and took the old flowers, dead flowers out of that today. Here's a little grouping of that Sweet William that's 4 different colors in a row. Maybe 5. Is this one a different? No, I think it's the same as that one, but that's going to be pretty when it fills out. And this is called Arkansas Starflower, and when its main thing is for its foliage. When it gets fall, it turns a beautiful golden color. Oh, look over here, babe. There's just something to get on there. Look at this tiny little clematis here. I didn't even see that earlier today. This dangles down there, but it's a cute little thing. But the one I wanted to show you is this one right over here. And it's one of the more common peonies too, but oh my, if that's common, I'm glad I'm a commoner. What a beauty. Okay, we did go ahead, and let that car go by. We did go ahead and go to the front because I just had to show you this. Look at this peony, isn't that beautiful? This little peony, I waited and waited. I think I planted it too deep. They say not to plant your peonies too deep or they won't bloom, and mine just, I thought it was never going to bloom, so I got a little piece off of it and started it here in the front, and this one actually did bloom first, but the one in the back has buds on it now, so hopefully we'll get blooms from it too. Good morning, it's Nancy with a scroll in the garden, and I've been very busy in the garden. We had a 40% chance for rain yesterday, and I was certainly hoping that we got that, but we missed it. We're really good at missing that rain here in our part of Oklahoma, but we've been very busy. My husband helped me carry out some of the heavier pots that I overwintered. I always bring my houseplants out in spring and summer and take them in late fall because I'm not good with houseplants. I'm terrible with houseplants, and I've always said I really do not have a green thumb. I just have a gardener's heart, and I just, why wouldn't you have a heart for something like that if you love color, blue? I mean, there's just color everywhere. So beautiful. I was also going to tell you that I have a cousin that we were talking about our favorite colors, and she said my favorite color is green. And if you'll look around you, I think you'll realize that it's God's favorite color too. So I thought that was pretty profound. She was not all that old at the time she said it either, but I never thought of that. But this is one of the things I brought in, the ponytail plant and my rubber plant. And can you see this little, see if I can get to it here, this little fern right here. I brought it in and I repotted it yesterday. It had outgrown its pot and was root bound. Should have probably done that last year, but anyway, it made it through. And then we also, I planted some more plants. We went to some more nurseries after breakfast yesterday. I usually get up and have breakfast with my husband downtown at our local diner. We really enjoyed the food there, just and the service and everything. It's just a pleasant place to go to. And then I'm clean. When I'm there, I'm clean for the only part of the day that I am clean. Except today. I think today I'm going to have to do some cooking and and just several things that I may not get out here in the garden at all today. I hope so, because I would love to. There's just so much to do. You don't really feel like leaving it at all, and I love that sense of accomplishment. When I was growing up, they used to say such and such is a wonderful thing, and that's what I think. An accomplishment is a wonderful thing. But there's another pot that we brought out, this one in the red tall pot, and that one's pretty heavy. It's doing good. And then there's some pots that I brought out from where I just had them dormant, which looked terrible, but you can watch this little pot the flower turn purple. You can see it has purple tints, but this is Purple Heart. And if you just take it in and put it in a dark closet or wherever, and probably your garage, as long as it doesn't get below freezing, and just save it and then bring it back out, and it'll turn white, but then it'll go back to its beautiful purple color. Yeah, you can tell there's some more. This one is Copper Plant, and I don't know if this one will come back. I've never tried to just let it go dormant and come back, so I'm hoping it will, because I usually keep a little sprig of it in the window and root it, but I did, but none of my little rootings made it this time through the winter, that's a long time for a little plant to have to stay in water, even though I do change it, of course, every week. But look at those hostas. They're really shining this morning, all big and pretty. Let's go right down that row, as a matter of fact, and let you see more of them. There's pretty much a whole row of hostas there. And I have actually ordered this year, I ordered just a few more to fill out the ones that don't have hostas in them yet. I noticed yesterday that I have a snail problem. I told you there's so much can go wrong, but there's the last 2 years we've noticed a few of them, but it seemed like last year they just really got bad, and now they seem so harmless and cute, but they're actually not as cute as this one up here. This one's never eaten anything, but the others have destroyed some plants, totally destroyed them. Oh, here's another one that I had inside. This little one with the bird in it. It's got ivy. See, there's the way I do house plants. Everybody says you can always grow ivy. Well, my ivy is practically dead, but it made it, so I'm happy, very happy with that. And once I get it outside, normally it just goes right on. I was going to try to do all these pots that I have around this tree, that one is all I got done. That I put some purslane moss in that little top strawberry pot, and then I put some mostly red flowers in the bottom part of it. I put a Dusty Miller. Let's see if I can go over here and get that a little better. But I put a Dusty Miller back there too, and I've told you before, but that Dusty Miller just picks up any and every color and makes it shine even more. I put a few more things in this little angel here, but I'm still not really finished with her. I'm not happy with the way she looks right now, because she can look way better than that. I have a lot to do today too, of course. There always is, but I just love that sense of accomplishment, and I have not really been having that because I've left stuff undone every day. Seem like I never get done everything that I wish I had it. This is an airplane plant that I had from inside that we brought in. This back here is a Rex Begonia. It's kind of a pretty silver color. I really like that one. And I'm really happy with myself because I actually kept those through the winter, and this actually the first time. This is the first time I've been able to keep Rex begonias through the winter. And this is one of my favorite little begonias right here. I noticed that a tiny little plant is coming back green, so this may not really be, this is the actual color of this, but it looks like it is. I hope it stays that beautiful black and red, although it may be too good to be true. It's so pretty. And then this little one here, I know they do not look great, but they are alive, and once they get out here they normally do look really good after they've been out in the sun and the elements, the rains, different things. They just do so much better. Here's another little plant that survived for me. Here's a little plant that did not survive for me. That's the way I do houseplants. So anyway, oh, I see another one back here that survived too. This little one right here made it through the winter for me, so I'm happy with that. I got some. I was talking about the snails too, and this little plant here had a beautiful yellow and white calabachoa on the back side of this beautiful blue. Isn't that a pretty trailing lobelia? And then right back there was my calabachoa, and that's another place I found 7 little snails just busy destroying it. That gives you an idea of what I've been doing in the front. Oh, I'm back again. My neighbor had hollered at me, and so I had to visit with her for just a few seconds because actually she's the neighbor that her daughter just got married, and we were able to go to Colorado to go to the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding. The groom danced in, and the bride's father brought her in and then let her go at the beginning of the little aisle, and she danced down the aisle, and it was just such a fun wedding. I'd never been to one quite like it, and it was just really fun, and hopefully they'll have a wonderful marriage, and it's just always wonderful to find love because as I said the other day, love is the greatest thing. It's just the greatest. Even the Bible says, now abideth faith, hope, and charity, but the greatest of these is love. And then that little scripture that of all what love does and what love does not do, it abideth, and I can't think of all the scripture right now, but it never fails. Love never fails. And so we're just wishing them all the best. I'm going to go back to the back and see if there's anything back there I need to show you, and then we're going to go on. I've got to get busy today. I've got to do some cooking and several different things. Oh, I also wanted to show you a couple of pots over here because these pots I still need to put something in. And this one has got some things coming up in it, but this one thing here is solidago. I do not want it in the garden anymore, and it's not because it's not lovely. It's called what is it called? Solidago goldenrod, and it's so pretty. It just has like a bottle brush top, just full of tiny little blooms, but all those little blooms turn to tiny little seeds, and they just come up everywhere. It's so invasive. And at first I thought, oh, that's wonderful, I'll have it everywhere. And I did have it everywhere, and it was wonderful, it was beautiful, until I started realizing it's choking everything else out. I've got to get it out of there. But that one had a little bit coming back, but as you can tell, this one, I don't know if there's anything at all coming back in there yet. Maybe. What is this? I think that might be some of the agastache that I like in here. I like this pretty lime green agastache growing in the center, and then the beautiful blue poppies, the deep blue ones that I sometimes call purple, but they're just so pretty. And but I need to get all this out of here too and get this one going again and let it be pretty again this year. One more thing before I go to the back. I don't know if I've already shown you the blue flax, but isn't that pretty? And the flax just blooms in the morning, or sometimes it'll bloom on a cloudy day for longer than that. And it folds that little flower up, and you can't even tell. It's just a little, it has a flower, it's just a little green floating in the wind flower stem, but it always comes back the next morning pretty and blue. And I did plant seeds in my seed box, just this end of it. I haven't got the other end. I've got a little bit of things that I planted earlier, and they are up just barely. But I planted pink profusion zinnies and yellow marigolds in this one. I did that last year, but I used the larger marigold. Oh, and the Dusty Miller. I think that's going to be really pretty, but I tried it last year, but I used the big marigolds, which are so pretty. I really like those the best, but they also were too big for the little profusion zinnies. They just covered them up and didn't let them get enough sun. It didn't do well for me. But see, I have a few things here. This may be silver sage. Oh, that's so pretty. It doesn't bloom or anything, but it has a little fuzzy leaf, and it grows pretty good size, and it just really sets a pot off, even just all by itself. So pretty. I don't know if I got very much of anything else. There's some poppies here. There were poppies up here. I don't know what happened to those. Oh my, I didn't realize they were not there till right now, so that's discouraging. But I don't know why it's so hard to get poppies started from seed for me, but I'm not the only one that has that trouble, I guess, because I did read that it's hard to get them started. But even though it is, they said once you get a plant, they just come back easily, and I found that to be true with hollyhocks. I actually never got a hollyhock going. I like this one right here. But once you get one, you almost get too many of them. But they're always pretty too. But they're kind of hard to take care of too. And it just in the fact that you need to take them down once they finish blooming, because they fall over, flop over, and just if it gets rain, they get heavy. They're not going to look good in the garden. This is another little plant that I overwintered, let it go dormant, and brought it back out, and it's doing so good. I got this from Logie's, and it's called Butterfly Plant, and it looks, when it blooms, the bloom looks like little blue butterflies. I hope that they put some on and I can show you this year. What it looks like in the back of the morning when the morning sun hits this. It just lights it up. Isn't that pretty? These little peonies made it through the wind. We had high winds again yesterday. You see some more Sweet William back there, right here. The amaryllis are still looking pretty. I noticed the one little peony down here on the end of this. There's another one of the hollyhocks I was mentioning earlier, growing it beside this little pot. This one right here. Nora the pretty catmint. I really like this little blue, and it stays quite a while. The bloom stays on it, and if you trim it back, it does bloom again for you. This is the one that you can tell how windy it was. The petals are all over the grass and not hardly any on the peony. I guess it was just about, its time was just about up, so the wind went ahead and took it away. So I can get turned where my shadow's not in the picture so much, but this little peony still kept some of its bloom. Columbine, more peonies. I love the big pretty flowers of the peony. I've got a pot full of rock right there because I took it out of some of these pots and they're not finished yet. So I'm anxious to get everything finished, but might as well not be quite so anxious because it's not going to happen quickly. It's just, it takes so much time. There's the clematis growing up in the Rose of Sharon. Here's one fixing to bloom for me right here. This bloom. This is my other Princess Diana clematis. This little peony is still looking pretty. I hope we have more bloom on there, but I don't see more buds. That may be our only bloom. Oh, here's a little one over here on the side too. And I planted another little clematis right here. And it'll hopefully grow up this trellis here, which the Diana clematis I put to grow up this one, and it also reaches out and gets some on this one too. So, but I think they're always pretty, even if you overlap them and put two together. Sometimes that's even more pretty. You know, I think you can never get too many flowers. Oh my! I see that my little candy cane verbena has a dead place on it. Don't want that. The wind probably broke it off, and there's another one that's broken off. I might leave it for a while and see if it will. When that blooms, I can't hardly wait to show that to you. It's just got such a beautiful bloom. I hope it will fill out and be really pretty. One of my cousins made this for me, and I put that little bear in there. This is another new plant that I planted yesterday, and it gets about 3 foot by 3 foot. It's called a little Itea, and it has pretty white flowers on it in the spring, but in the fall it's supposed to get just a beautiful red, and I think that'll be pretty out here. I need a little red fall color back here. Oh, this is filling out quite nicely. I hope it continues to do well here. Some more clematis blooms, or clematis blooms. That pretty columbine. Another pretty clematis, These were called, these are marigolds, and they were called strawberry blonde. So I never got any just like them. So I hope they do well too. they are not doing so well right now. But even if they don't, I think I'm going to be able to get seed from those and then replant them, and maybe they'll do well this fall. I wanted a white pot full of white petunias because I saw that in Minco at my sister-in-law's neighbor's house, and it was just beautiful. The pot does make a difference. If you have a pretty flower, of course it's going to be pretty no matter what pot you put it in, but sometimes when you match your pots to the color of your pot to the color of your flower, or pretty contrast, it just is a little extra special. This verbena is doing well for me. Sometimes my verbena just really takes off and just looks wonderful, and then other times it just kind of sits there and fizzles. I see, and oh, this is the ghost dianthus. Look, it's in bloom. I saw a little hummingbird over here taking advantage of those blooms. And then here's another clematis or clematis. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to have to take you over around to the other side where there's another clematis called Henry, and it's white too. But the Henry clematis or clematis is just so huge. It's so big and pretty. So I'll take you over there in just a little bit. But things are beginning to fill out just a little. This is the red penta in the back of this little girl, and it draws the butterflies into the garden. They love, if it has a teeny little flower like this or anything anywhere near similar, that's a teeny little flower, the butterflies will go for that. That's what they like. Still several pots back here that I need to do. I have not yet got to planting my seeds for the vines that I want to go up these trellises here. And like I told you, there is a flower growing in this and came up from seed, and I want to get some of that out and put all over, and then redo that pot and put some of them back in it. But I'd like to use those in several different places. This one I'm still not satisfied with quite yet. I'm going to do a little bit something more to it, but this blue verbena last year was so gorgeous in here. I hope it does something like that again. So I'm going to take you over to that little white clematis called Henry. After I take a sweep of this side, and then I'm going to go back over here and show you the Henry clematis, because it's literally bigger than my hand. When it blooms, that's the kind of bloom you're going to find on it. So pretty. There's only two on this one right now. Just a minute, I'm going to kneel down here and pull up a tree that I don't want growing here, a little seedling. And here's some of the pretty Henry blooms. Oh, and while we're on white, there's a white peony. Look at this. Who would have thought I would have been fascinated by the white as much as I am. I just think it's so pretty. There's another big bloom back there. It has a wasp on it, but I've never been stung by one of those wasps, but I don't want to be either. But I had been stung by a yellow jacket. I had never been stung by a yellow jacket. I grew up in the country, grew up around them, but luckily I had never had been stung by them till I was in the garden, and they leave me alone. I'm not afraid of them, but I had gotten too close to its nest unbeknown to myself, and it just got me. It got me on my hand. My hand swelled up, my arm swelled up. It liked to never stop stinging. The place where the stinger went in, it was just, and then it itched for a long time when it was healing. But the next time it stung me in the face, and I thought, oh no. Well, here's a pretty Sarah Bernhardt peony. I have to show you this too. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? But anyway, I guess my body had built up a immunity to it from that first one on my hand, because it didn't do much at all. I mean, it hurt, but it didn't swell my face up excessively or look terrible. There's some more of that beautiful dark clematis. I just think this is so pretty. I can move that and get a little bit close up of that. Isn't that pretty? More blooming back there. Our roses are still, that we transplanted, are still not doing well at all. And I was going to put this soaker hose on them, and I've not found the time. I did, however, find the time to dig up all that weeds I was pointing out to you in one video that I had to do. I had come back here to plant a little clematis to grow up one of these trellises, and I just stopped and took the time there to dig that out. There's the pretty blue larkspur. I know I've got to do something with this little bird bath. I thought maybe that would stop it from leaking, which it kind of sort of did, but not enough. It looks terrible, but I'm one of those people that can't throw anything away. Besides, once I get something in my garden, it's mine. And you know, I put my value on it. I learned that in school, that money is not worth anything except the value the government puts on it. So I'm thinking, wow, well, you know, I kind of am like the government, because I put my own value on things. I don't just go by what other people think of it necessarily. There's some more of that pretty dark blue. That may be the president, like around the front, but I think I think it's the Jackmanii clematis. Another little peony bloom coming up there. Our grape's still doing good. By doing good, I mean it's alive. I guess I ended up with two of these little white ones, but they're pretty. So we're pretty much coming back around. So, I guess I better get busy. There's lots to do today, but like I said, I don't think I'll be doing it in the garden this time. I think, oh gosh, it looks like I need to water here, and then this is a rain tree coming up here. They come up everywhere. I've always got to pull up rain trees. I actually get a hoe and come out here and chop them down. There's so many of them. Get my little ones off of her face. I love this Nemesia. I hope it will stay for me. Last year, as soon as it got really warm, they disappeared. But we'll see. We'll see how they do. Another little mauve pink columbine. Some more Sweet William. This could be my favorite peony, even though it's not looking so good right now. But this is called Bowl of Beauty, and to me it is a bowl of beauty. I actually had taken several starts off of this to give to friends, and so it didn't do just real well this year, but most of the years it does really well and looks so pretty. There's still pots back here. I've got only thing growing up in here is volunteer stuff. Sometimes that's a good thing, though. Well, all the time, unless it's invasive, that's a good thing, because even if you don't want it there, you can transplant it to a place you do want it. So this is a little cosmos seedling right here, and I may or may not leave that there. And then these others are a celosia. That's a real pretty burgundy celosia. Oh, my little girl fell off again. I'm going to have to find some way to keep her up here on her post. She looks so good there. There's another peony back there. So that's how the garden grows today, and we'll check back with you another day. 1 Corinthians 13:4-13. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.